I have to pause and say, Benita, I would not be here were it not for the experience I had in Morehouse.
As an HBCU or the faculty, a combination of the students, the African American experience, in what respect?
Everything. I mean, everything. I cannot speak highly enough about Morehouse, and I cannot speak highly enough about HBCUs, and I want to be very clear about this. I think every black person in America, if you can go to an HBCU, go. I'm that, especially men. I don't know if it's the same for women, because I think, you know, maybe a little bit, but I think for black men who grow up in this country, there is so much, well, I think for black people in general, and we're seeing even more than now, it's not just misinformation, but it's disinformation that's thrown at us from the time that we're very young.
And what do you mean by that, misinformation versus disinformation?
The misinformation is that the story of black people is only about oppression and degradation and overcoming that. But then you have the disinformation, and that's the overt effort and method to keep people from knowing who they are. And I'll say it like this: the Negro, the American Negro, is a purely American concept. The Negro has no history except that which has been tied to oppression in this country. The word Negro in itself is to keep you from knowing where you came from. And I don't just mean that you came from Africa. I mean, because even that's been slighted in the sense of what that history was. So when I went to Morehouse, it was the beginning of peeling back the layers of like, wow, I've been lied to about who we are, and the richness of the culture, the history, the experience, the legacy of the people that built this country. I was lied to. I was so surprised when I heard about the great stone empires in Zimbabwe, because as far as I was concerned, Zimbabwe was one of these countries that is only about, you know, genocide and people fighting each other. I was surprised when I heard about the great libraries of Timbuktu and Mali and the empires that were the foundation for many of the European many of the things that we accredit to Europeans came out of that era.
And how did that change you, Darrell, once you realized the misinformation, the disinformation, the Negro, the American concept of the Negro there at Morehouse? How did that change your your perspective and your view of yourself, your culture, your people?
Well, what it did was, and I want to say this particularly for people that are listening that are not black people, what it did was it did not give me this sense of black supremacy or any type. What it actually did was made me comfortable in who I was. Now, I don't have to try to imitate somebody else. Warren Harding, President of the United States in the 1920s, he was a bigot to the core. He would have said that himself. But one thing he said that was very true, he said the best thing that the American black man can do is be the best version of a black man and not an imitation of a white man.
That's powerful.
It is powerful. And so going to Morehouse released me from feeling as though I had to somehow imitate something else in order to be successful, because I came from success.
I love it. We're going to take a quick break. Now, we're talking to Darrell Bennett, and we're talking about overcoming, standing strong, and moving forward in the face of life's adversities. He's talking about being not an imitation of someone other than yourself, your race, your people, your ethnicity. And so we want to hear more of his story on the other side of the break, so stay with us. This is Hot 91.